The U.S. government spends $58 billion annually on workforce development. But compare that macro spending against the worker's micro-reality. A cosmetology graduate earns $18,000, but carries $13,000 in student debt. Their debt consumes 72% of their first-year income. For an essential worker entering a human service profession, a 72% financial burden is an aggressive, punitive debt of entry. It limits their ability to build wealth from the start of their career. That statistical failure reveals a misalignment in our policy. Our current federal funding system optimizes for institutional stability at the expense of individual economic mobility. The bottleneck originates in the primary vehicle we use to distribute these funds, the institutional grant. Our current model is gate-capped. We route public support directly to schools, trapping taxpayer dollars behind slow-moving administrative bureaucracies. Solving this requires a departure from the institution-centric structure. We need to transition to a direct-to-individual, portable funding model. Instead of giving a school a grant and hoping a student enrolls, the state grants a voucher to the trainee. The individual then takes that funding into an open market, paying providers based on competition and educational outcomes. Placing the funding directly in the hands of the worker is the only structural mechanism that aligns taxpayer dollars with successful entry into the workforce. To understand why the current system fails, we have to look at the hidden costs of processing federal aid. For a vocational school, participating in the Title IV financial aid system imposes a high administrative tax. This diagram illustrates the burden. Institutions must hire dedicated staff to manage FAFSA, disbursements, and federal reporting. Those compliance officers don't teach, but their salaries must be paid. That overhead is passed to the student, forcing tuition hikes to cover the cost of managing aid. This creates institutional lock-in. Lean providers who offer instruction at lower prices are excluded from the market because they lack the initial capital to build this compliance infrastructure. Economists recognize this feedback loop as the Bennett hypothesis. The hypothesis observes that when the government provides guaranteed, subsidized financial aid, institutions raise their tuition to match the maximum limit of the available aid, confident that the subsidies will cushion the price increase. This compliance infrastructure functions as a regressive tax. It inflates the cost of education, financially punishing the low-income and immigrant trainees the aid system was designed to protect. Moving the authority away from the institution requires a vehicle like individual training accounts, or ITAs, which operate as portable vouchers. Look at this comparison between the frameworks. The key difference is who the state pays. In the legacy model, price is driven by aid eligibility, leaving the consumer with low agency. In the portable model, the driver shifts to actual market value and competition. The state issues the eligible individual a digital workforce wallet. These funds are restricted. The trainee can only spend them at state-licensed providers demonstrating successful outcomes. This portability breaks the Bennett hypothesis. If a student holds a $6,000 workforce voucher, an expensive legacy school must choose. They can attempt to charge $20,000 and force the student to find the difference, or they can lower their tuition to match the voucher and capture the revenue. Empowering the individual consumer introduces price discipline into the market without needing federal price caps. The beauty and wellness sector provides a testing ground for this theory because it operates as a licensure-driven meritocracy. To legally work, a student must pass a state board examination. That exam provides objective verification of competence. The administrative size of the school they attended is irrelevant to their legal right to practice. Under the current gate-kept system, beauty programs have seen their tuitions rise to $20,000 or more. But institutions like the Louisville Beauty Academy prove that those prices are artificial. By operating a lean model outside the federal aid trap, they provide the same state-aligned licensure training for roughly $6,200. This affordability is critical because fields like nail technology and aesthetics are heavily populated by immigrant and new American trainees. The traditional accreditation process relies on English-heavy administrative norms, creating linguistic barriers that lock diverse educators out of the federally supported market. Portability allows students to bypass that exclusion. They can direct their vouchers to culturally competent providers like Louisville Beauty Academy, which offers multilingual support and exams. The existence of these lean institutions prove that high-quality, state-licensed education has a natural market cost far below the heavily subsidized institutional rate. If we remove the institutional gatekeepers, policymakers must ensure the state is getting what it pays for without relying on traditional accreditation. We replace periodic audits with pay-for-success, outcome-based tranches. This timeline shows how state funds are released entirely based on verifiable milestones. Instead of giving a school all the money up front, the state releases 10% upon a verified enrollment agreement. The next 30% releases only when the student logs their midpoint clock hours directly with the state board. The critical shift is accountability at the finish line. The state withholds final payment until the student achieves their license and 90 days of verified employment. To secure this pipeline, the state utilizes modern digital safeguards, specifically NIST Identity Assurance Level 2, ensuring the person receiving the funding is exactly who they claim to be. We manage this through unified finance platforms, creating real-time digital audit trails for every dollar spent. Replacing 5-year accreditation visits with real-time digital outcome verification creates a direct link between taxpayer spending and actual workforce entry. The historical argument for institutional gatekeepers was information asymmetry. Historically, students couldn't measure a school's quality. The government acted as a proxy, accrediting institutions because consumers simply lacked the data to choose for themselves. AI-driven decision tools shift this balance of power. Today, a trainee can use AI to analyze local labor data, compare graduation rates, and calculate the true total cost of ownership between providers before they ever sign an enrollment form. Once enrolled, AI platforms personalize learning, translating complex theory directly into the student's native language. AI serves as a force multiplier for individual agency. By providing real-time data on school performance and mastery of the curriculum, it assumes the quality control role once reserved for institutional accreditors. This network map details the freedom ecosystem, where workforce training functions as one part of a continuous cycle of elevation. Inward support flows directly to the trainee, armed with AI insights and funded by portable state vouchers. Because the training is efficient and debt-free, the outward economic flows accelerate. Rapid licensure allows these individuals to move quickly from employee to salon owner, launching small businesses that generate community tax revenue. By stripping away the institutional administrative tax and implementing a portable funding model, policymakers can consistently accelerate economic mobility and restore the promise of debt-free workforce entry.